Okay, this video we're going to talk about how to exercise more, sort of an attitude and philosophy towards exercise and the reason it's beneficial to you. Here's a picture of my parents. They were members of the tennis club. It made them real happy, kept them busy with something they could do together. Good for couples to have some hobby they can share, running, nature hikes, whatever it might be. I was a wrestler in high school, and that's me, high school wrestling, and that was a great sport for emphasizing fitness. So I've been pretty intensely interested in fitness all my life. I got injured my senior year, and I couldn't wrestle for a while, so I went out for the cross-country team, and that was a great experience. These guys were by far the best students in the whole school. They had the highest SAT scores, were the most academically motivated. And I think there's something about the determination of being a long-distance runner. Cross-country in high school is 3-mile races. It just makes a person a much better student. And I've heard Ruth Hydrich say that she never saw a runner become demented. And it does do a lot of good things for the brain. So I got recruited to Stanford. That's, I think, me as a college wrestler. Went home to visit my parents. But that pretty much sums up my youth. I was reading all the books, to be able to talk with my father, because that's about the only time I see my father is once in a while. We'd talk about books, and my uncle would come over and we'd argue about books. That really helped me academically, and that's the focus of my childhood. That's when I got recruited at Stanford to be a wrestler. And then here's the Stanford wrestling coaches. This is Mark Schultz, who was national champion. Here's him defeating Ed Bannock from Iowa, two-time national champion in the NCAA finals. It's one of the best wrestling matches ever in history. It was an awesome wrestling match. It was just incredible. Here he is after winning the NCAA title, congratulated by his brother Dave, who also became an NCAA champ, world and Olympic champ. Andre Metzger, national champ. And it was so inspiring to be around these guys. I learned more from the Schultz brothers than from any of my professors at Stanford. Just an intense, focused attitude, how pretty much you only focus on one or two things in your whole life, but you get a lot better at them when you do that. So this is Dave Schultz winning the Olympics right here. Here's my roommate, Dave Lee, NCAA champ, All-American, national champ. So I was always around these guys who were better wrestlers than me. I'd been injured, so I was making my comeback, but that very much motivated me, incredibly motivating. Like Alfred Adler, inferiority complex. I wanted to compensate by trying to become a great student because I was kind of embarrassed and frustrated. I wasn't as good an athlete as I used to be and not near as good as these guys. So, but anyways, we had our wall of fame in our room, and so you would always try to move up on the wall of fame with your competitions. That was a big motivator. Okay, so now the thing about exercise is you look at a kid. Kids are always running around, and what I see is a lot of old people. They sit around, especially the more stupid and demented they are, the more likely they just sit around. I know stroked out people that'll just sit around. People that are mildly demented often sit around watching TV all the time. Fully demented person, they might not even, they just sit and stare out into space. But movement is a sign of life, youth, intelligence. It's good. I mean, as Voltaire said, why do animals have brains? Because they move. Once you move, you got to make a value judgment. Which way do you go? What is good? What is bad? What do you avoid? You look at the sea squirt, juvenile phase. It's a tadpole. It has a brain, and it swims around. As an adult, it attaches to a rock, becomes a filter feeder, and its entire brain is recycled. You don't need a brain if you're just a filter feeder attached to a rock, like a plant that doesn't move. So when you move, you get increased brain-derived neurotropic growth factor, which stimulates neurogenesis, the growth of new neurons. And that happens in a couple places. The memory center, hippocampus, the area around the ventricles called the subventricular zone, and the substantia nigra, which means that new neurons can be produced in a Parkinson's patient and be helpful to them. You'll get production of new mitochondria with exercise. You'll get increased glycogen storage in your brain. You get, not just in the muscles, also in the brain, increased brain angiogenesis, the building of good new blood vessels, collateral circulation, brain synaptogenesis, forming new synapses. So all of these things greatly help the brain. As a matter of fact, this is a great video right here. Frank Longo, MD, PhD, is a neurologist at Stanford. And in his lecture on learning and memory, you go to the 1 hour 51 minute point. You'll see neurons staying green. You can see how hungry and the neurons are to form connections with other neurons. And it's that, in an intelligent person, they need to do something interesting every day. Read a book, have an interesting conversation, analyze something interesting. And it's good to keep doing that every day. But what I'm basically saying is it's a sign of fitness and smarts that people do more effort. I see that amongst the docs I know. The brighter ones make more effort to maintain their fitness. That's a real characteristic of high-functioning people, to maintain good fitness as they get older and put a lot of effort into that. Okay, so in my mid-30s, I got fat. I was working too much, trying to do 2 fellowships simultaneously, wrote a textbook that year, and I had a kid with the wife. I was up late with the child. So I got fat, and then it took me a couple years to lose weight. That's my skinny picture. Sorry, it's blocked by the webcam picture, but man, you want to keep moving. You look at all these Blue Zone, National Geographic, Dan Buettner, Centenarians. None of them lives near a health club. They're all away from cities other than the Loma Linda Seventh-day Adventists. And so they just keep moving all day. Young people move around, old people sit. Get a desk where you can stand more, walk more. Get a treadmill desk if you can, if you like that. Always go to the far bathroom, preferentially take some stairs, constantly be going up and down stairs. My wife kind of like controls the house. Like in a lot of marriages, the wife's kind of control the house, and she took over the ground floor bathroom, and at first she was all proud of herself, but I'm glad because I always have to go upstairs, downstairs, so I get a lot more exercise, and that's turned out to really be a good thing. Park far when you can. You go to the store or something, the job or whatever. Get in the habit of walking a lot and stay moving. And two, if I look back at my life, I screwed up and made a lot of mistakes. One of them was I wish I had lived next to a better park for exercise. I wish I had worked next to a university where I did coach wrestling my first 2 years of med school, but I wish I had stayed at a university or place where I could have coached wrestling all the way through the rest of my career. I still coach my nephew. He's a high school wrestler, but I wish I stayed closer to the sport because it would have kept me in better shape, and it's a lot of fun. It's good to walk whenever you can. Walk while you're reading, just for exercise. Come home from work, walk while you read for a while. Walk while you eat. If you're not sitting there talking to somebody in the kitchen, then get up and start walking. Listen to an audiobook while you're eating. That goes well together. If you're having a conversation, like if my kid wants to talk to me, I'll make him follow me around while I walk in circles because I need the exercise. If you're reading a lot, studying a lot, whatever you do, when you take a study break, walk for a while. Get that. Your lymphatic flow increases 10 to 30-fold when you walk, which improves immune system function, lowers the rate of cancer, keeps you more fit. After I got fat, I was, afraid I'm going to be a big fat diabetic and have hypertension, myocardial infarction, all this stuff. So I actually moved to a new house that had a really big backyard. I should have done that originally, and it was a lot of fun. I timed the chlorination of the water for the pool so it would be high at night but really low when the kids were in there because I didn't want them exposed to all that chlorine. I had one basketball hoop on this side of the patio. I could go out there and get some exercise. Had a big jungle gym plaything for the kids, animal enclosure for the dog. I love this old house, but it was worth it. I started losing the weight and getting healthy again. Then, we had a wall there by the other basketball hoop, and kids would hit tennis balls against it, put a couple flagpoles up behind it and a big net, and we got to, I could go out in the backyard and play tennis whenever I wanted. That was a great thing. Playing basketball too, that was nice. The ball doesn't roll away. So we had a really nice setup for exercise, and I really loved that old house. But I think I pushed my luck too far. Here's what happened. One day I came home from work and my kid's like, Dad, you're a bad parent. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? And he says, you don't help me play basketball. The other kids' dads coach them and practice with them. And you and Mom, you just work all the time and you don't help me. It's not fair. And I thought, the kid has a point. Our living room at that time wasn't being used for anything. So one day while my wife was at work, I had a carpenter friend come over, and we put these wooden boards over the windows to protect them. And then I moved in a basketball hoop, and it had a nice wooden floor, nice high ceiling. and we were playing basketball in the living room. It was great. My kid would practice 3.5 hours a day. He went from being seventh man on the basketball team, barely even getting to play in the games, to being the star of the team, MVP. And so we were real happy. The younger kids could ride their bicycles around in the basketball court. I thought it was great. But my wife went crazy. She hated it. She's kind of house proud, wants a house that looks nice to show off to her friends. So to make a long story short, I sort of had a choice: either move to the new house she wanted or stay in the old house. It was a tough choice. I'm not sure I made the right choice, but anyways, I ended up moving to the new house, which is kind of like a house for women. It looks nice when you visit it, but it's not that great for exercise. Anyways, if I could live it over again, yeah, I want a basketball court in my house. You bet I do. Okay, so what do I do now? I'm, sort of only allowed to go in the basement practically. I like doing these high repetition squats. The unique thing about this picture here, this is me doing high repetition squats. The handlebars are up in front. This is called the safety squat bar, so you don't have to grab the bar all the way back. A lot of old guys got some shoulder problems, myself included. So I can squat with a safety squat bar. I could squat with the other bar, but it hurts my shoulder, so this is nice. I do real high repetition squats, like high intensity interval training. I think everybody should do some squats. You don't have to squat with a heavy weight or anything. It's like getting up from a chair. I just do one set a week, and that maintains pretty good physical strength. And you get endurance from it as well. So walk every day, go up and down stairs every day, keep moving every day, and at least once a week, lift some weights. You're going to have to warm up for a couple weeks to get used to it. I like these kettlebells for doing just these warm-up squatting exercises before I get to the heavier weights. But anybody can squat, and it helps you maintain your balance. All these old people, they're so pathetic and weak. Your brain is more for movement than it is for thinking. So do some type of intense physical exercise once a week, and at least some mild to moderate exercise every day, and maintain your fitness, because the brain and the body is a use it or lose it system. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. And that's basically it.